Listener discretion is advised.
But every time I was there was a little voice that would come into my head and say, grab it, kill him first, and then kill everybody else. Every time. For years.
Yeesh. But only when you went over there, right?
Only at that house.
Only at that house, yeah.
Never happened anywhere else. None other time. But it's like, you know you can do it. You can do it real quick.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Scary Time. I'm Greg, the host and curator of all the shows on the Indie Drop-In Network. Every week, I find a scary or paranormal episode I think you will love from an independent podcast creator. If you'd like to support our mission of connecting listeners with independent, scary, and paranormal podcasters, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/indie drop-in. Today's episode is from Paranormal Peeps podcast. Paranormal Peeps discuss all things paranormal from cryptids and ghosts to urban legends, venturing into all types of hauntings and personal experiences while investigating. If you like today's episode from Paranormal Peeps, check the show description for links to subscribe. We're going to get this show started after a quick word from our sponsors.
Begin.
All right, well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. Say that 5 times really fast. Ready to go. Haha, you messed up. We want to welcome you all here. We got the full team together again, Yay! Which is always fun. Running around the room here. To my left,
Elisa.
Lovely Elisa.
Josh.
Lord Josh.
Jamie.
Lady Jamie.
Terry.
Also Lady.
I'm feeling a little left out
we
here.
have some sort of, and I'm Lord Mike. Yeah, Elisa is the peasant, but she's, you know what? She's also the most gifted among us, though. So
yes.
You have things that I have a piece of paper, but that's it.
You can be in my court any day.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome at our castle. They're actually fixing the Harling on our castle right now.
Oh, that's so nice.
You don't even know what that is, right?
Not
it's
at
like
all.
a stucco a medieval stucco they used to use. It's been, yeah. But I digress. Take a drink. So we want to talk about some fun stuff today. It's something actually we started to, we told you we'd come back, and we finally have.
A year later.
A year later, but
to the episode.
Better late than never.
Yep.
A year ago, we talked about the different types of spirits, and we kind of used our classifications that, a type 1, which is like your regular grandma passed away and she's a spirit. There's the type 2s, which are kind of a little bit more malevolent, but they had bodies. And we talked about type 3s, which are demonic or inhuman spirits. And we said we could take a whole episode to talk about that, and we never came back to it.
But we are now.
So, before we get into that, do we have anything exciting happened since the last episode?
Nope.
No. Okay.
We just show up.
Your house still peaceful? No more EVPs?
No more EVPs.
Yeah, nothing. Because last time we talked about, all the stuff. You guys had a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah,
a little bit.
We did take care of that before that episode, though. So
yeah, we did.
Okay, so it's all quiet and mellow.
yeah, it's all quiet and mellow.
Mostly.
Okay.
Except for when I
you
go
know what you're doing. You can take care of it, but
banging on the walls.
Well, all right then. Well, then let's just jump into it. So, who wants to go first?
Yeah, let me go first.
Josh, why don't you just lead us off here, and we'll just kind of jump in and mock you when you're wrong.
That's right.
Just kidding.
It's what we do.
That's because this topic has so many.
Oh, there's so many
twists and
interpretations.
turns.
We could go anywhere with this.
Depends on which website you clicked on to read.
That's right.
And the thing is
about 45 of them actually.
And probably the thing is we have a bunch of different interpretations, and who knows if any of them are actually.
And we
right.
haven't even told them what the topic is yet.
No, well we did.
Well, yeah, we're gonna really focus in on the demon portion of this, at least to start anyway. So the interesting thing about demons is that, relatively speaking, the word demon is actually a more modern construct. So the ancient world believed in both good and evil spirits, but they never actually used the word demon. So that actually came about from the Greeks. They had a word called daemon, which actually just means spirit or divine power. So it's really not even what we think of a demon, right? Which is like,
right.
Annabelle and
something
evil, right? But there's like, if you look at the religious cultures, like the Jews, the Judaism, there's really not any mentions of demons there. Islam, there's no mention of demons, but they have what are called jinn. So, and then if you look at the ancient Mesopotamians and other cultures, like demons aren't there. Buddhism doesn't have demons. So it's really Judeo-Christian beliefs that actually have the demons that use the words and
But those other religions believe in evil spirits?
They believe in evil spirits, but they also believe that the evil spirits can also be good. So they're both malevolent and benevolent.
So like your big brother who's a jerk, but we still love him?
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So it's such a different thing, right? And I think it's when you get into the cultural or the religious and cultural path where you run into these things. And that's why, like for us, like demons and those things, we were ingrained growing up.
Right.
Whatever your teaching was, you've heard of at least a demon or two, or maybe just Hollywood TV. So, but the Christian scholars believe that there's actually two essentially paths of belief of demons. One is the Adamic, which ties the fall of man with Adam and Eve, and that's how demons came about with the first temptation and so on. The other one is so I pronounce it Enochic, but I believe I was wrong or potentially wrong.
It's not to say that you're wrong. It's just we've always heard it and learned it as Enoch.
Enoch. So it would be Enochic.
Or Enoch even. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it's all the same, right?
But that is actually the belief of the fall of angels during the antediluvian period, which is the pre-flood period of time. So it'd be somewhere potentially before creation, around creation to flood. There's not a whole lot like people have on that. Like, no one knows when the fall occurred. They just knew that it happened.
Well, we believe, in the LDS culture, we believe we know that. So do you want me just to go on with it? Okay.
Go ahead and we'll jump back.
Okay. So I don't know a lot about other religions. And even within the whole Christian world, there's a lot of different interpretations and beliefs on things. And we were talking about some of these before we recorded. But in the LDS culture, we believe that we all lived together with our Heavenly Father, with with God before we came to Earth. And that a plan was put forth, and they said, all right, we're going to send you to Earth. You're all going to make mistakes. So we need someone to be a savior, right, to help you. And there were two plans that were put forth. Heavenly Father put forth his plan. And Lucifer, the son of the morning, put forth his plan. And part of God's plan was that his son would come in and would be our savior and would atone for our sins. And Lucifer's like, no, I have a plan. I'm just going to make you be good. And then we're all getting back to heaven because, I'm going to make sure you're good.
You have no free will.
You have no free will. But God wanted you to be able to choose. And so then there was like, essentially just for the sake of time, there was a vote that was put forth and, we all voted. And we all have a body and we're all here. So we all voted one way. Well, those who followed Lucifer or Satan, because they voted wrong or rebelled and said, we don't want God's plan, they were cast out and they were kicked out. And that's where.
And they didn't get a body.
Happened.
And then hence.
Would that have been before creation?
That would have been before creation.
Okay. Yeah. So which actually still falls into the antediluvian period.
Right.
It's just when, right? Like if it's before creation, when?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody knows.
God's time versus our time. I don't think we can't comprehend anything other than
what we know.
Hours, minutes, years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The concept of eternity is mind-boggling to us in itself.
I know exactly what the concept of eternity is because what's her name? Played Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
Jane Seymour.
Jane Seymour created a bracelet that is shaped like an 8, and it's called an eternity bracelet. And it just goes like this. And because she created that, I know what eternity is.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, my goodness.
That's perfect.
Just kidding. You're like, why do we even allow him to come back?
Right?
Well, like we always say, the time for ghosts on their side is completely different than time for us.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's entirely different animal altogether. So the Enochic traditions are based off of the books of Enoch, which there are actually 2 main books of it. The first book was written about 3rd or 4th century BC, and the second book was written about the 7th century AD. So the second book actually, if you look at the canon of the Bible, the New Testament, stuff like that, neither one of them are actually included in the biblical canon. However, the Ethiopian, the church in Ethiopia, actually has the second book as part of their canon, and they're actually the ones that brought it to Europe during that time frame, so that everyone started to adopt those types of traditions. And so, like, there's been many authors throughout time that have written about demons and those things, but there's the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Grimoire of Pope Honorius, and both of them have been published well after the author's death, about 17th and 18th century AD, and that's where the Enochic traditions were actually being accepted. So that, for the time frame for that's about 15th to the 19th century. And so if you think about it, that's only 1400 to 1800. So it's pretty recent in our history.
And that's just for the term demon or the word demon?
That's actually the study of demons.
Oh, so demonology.
So yeah, demonology. And so like the book of the book of Lesser Keys of Solomon breaks down demons into different ranks. And so they have like the kings, the dukes, the princes, the marquises, the counts, the presidents.
This is totally a medieval thing.
Oh yeah. And one night of hell.
One night.
So supernatural.
That sounds like a total movie, right?
I was just going to say that.
The Knights of Hell. That sounds like a biker gang.
No, just one night of hell. Yeah.
Yeah. How exclusive for that one.
That's a lot of work then. If like you're the only one.
Yeah, the only one.
Does he ride around on a steed of flaming eyes?
No, he does have a horse though.
Does he? Is it like the headless horseman?
No,
which looks like a lot like honestly, he looks a lot like Christopher Walken.
It looks like an old dude with a gray beard that rides on a horse and carries a sharp stick.
Sharp
Santa?
stick. That's all he gets is a sharp stick.
Yeah, no.
You're the knight
anymore.
You're the knight of hell, and all you get's a stick.
Poke you.
That in itself is hell.
Right?
It's like here, go slay these people. It's like, with what? Here's a stick. Good luck.
Right?
Probably not very good at his job.
No, I don't know.
Terry got the Christopher Walken joke.
I sure did.
In the movie Sleepy Hollow,
Been a long
with Johnny
time.
Depp, the headless horseman is played by Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks terrible.
All the sharp teeth.
It's like sharp teeth and like
yeah.
a little flaked up hair.
Just go Google it.
Wasn't Christina Ricci in that one?
She
Yes.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was blonde.
It was not a great show, but
No.
nonetheless,
Yeah, I barely remember that.
it's Christopher Walken. I mean, come on.
No, that's true. He's a funny
He's
guy.
like, I am here for your head.
That sounds like Dracula.
But the
I
thing is,
am a knight of the demon order. I don't know. I can't do it. Christopher
That was a
Walken.
little better.
He also likes warm Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
the individual or the character?
Aren't they the same?
It might be.
There are no characters. They're just really people. Like Johnny Depp is really a pirate. You didn't know it.
But is he also a guy with scissor hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
So
the
he's
stuff.
a pirate with scissor hands.
Demons can be whatever they want to be. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
they can.
Are you calling Johnny Depp a demon?
Dude, all Hollywood actors. I think aren't all Hollywood actors and actresses demons?
Hey,
And if they sell
Johnny
their,
Depp is my favorite, though.
If they sell their soul at Crossroads, sure. To be a
Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh.
That goes back to Supernatural.
How many movies and TV titles
Or-
can we sink into one
Yeah.
topic?
I know we've only been talking for like, what, five minutes?
Yeah, and we got 4. Doing good.
I don't know. I just don't trust them. They're shifty.
So what's interesting is I think like those who are Christian or Judeo-Christian, that we know who King Solomon is. son of David, right? So I didn't know this, but the Quran has mention of King Solomon as well. And in there, he actually had captured and had jinn, and so in this case it would be like an Islamic demon, working for him in bondage. So he had actually captured 72 jinn, and he ended up summoning the king, or the chief jinn, and the chief jinn's name is Fugatus, I guess.
Something.
Or Fuctus. It's a Q. Fuqtus.
Good luck
That's
with
what he
that
did.
one.
He fooked us.
Anyway, this chief demon or jinn actually gave Solomon all the names of the 72 and their ways of afflicting individuals. So King Solomon eventually, when he bound them to a brass vessel, tossed it into the ocean. It was then found by the Babylonians, and they thought it was treasure, so they broke it open. And then
Pandora's box, man. You don't open those things.
Yeah, right? And then when they released all 72 demons back into the world. Well, the 72 demons and all of their legions. So, yeah, that's a pretty big messed up. So, what I thought was, though, I was like, wasn't the Babylonians before King Solomon? Which is true, except there was a second rise of the Babylonians in 625 BC, which is about 300 years after Solomon.
Yeah, I saw the movie.
300?
300
No,
BC.
no, that's the Trojans.
Yeah,
There's another movie.
Totally wrong.
Those are Trojans.
totally wrong.
Spartans. Remember Sparta? Sorry,
Yeah.
You tried.
I'm a hyperactive mind. What can I say?
So that is, that's the ancient history of
So
demons in general.
ancient history of demons. Okay, so what do we think that demons are now? Like, what are our beliefs? What has changed from then till now in what we believe what demons are?
Well, a lot, actually.
Right.
And part of that, right, is because of the spiritual movement, the spiritualist movement that
Right.
ended up happening.
Because it's hard to take spirituality out of spirits.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's kind of
they
in the
are-
name, right?
They are mentioned in the New Testament as well.
They are. That's where they're
so-
first mentioned. But remember, the New Testament is
But we're looking at this written or translated
AD.
in what 15. Well, King James version of the Bible was translated in and put together.
After 1597,
That's right.
that's when King James came in. So that's the interesting part, is if we look back into the 1500s, right, which is the time of the Enochic period where we started, getting into the demon pieces, where we started studying demons in general. There was a man by the name of Reginald Scott. He wrote a book called The Disgorge of Witchcraft. And he was actually credited for being the first demonologist of England. What's funny is he was actually out to disprove the beliefs of the church at the time. So the church believed that, witches and demons were a thing. And if you were convicted of witchcraft, they were going to kill you. That was
Well, rightly so. That's what we
Right.
do now.
She's a witch.
she's a witch. Chop off her
Maybe
head.
burn her.
But it was a disproportionate amount of elderly and the poor and the disadvantaged that were witches.
Yeah, it's how you get rid of the riffraff.
Right. So he was trying to say that it was all that spirits and demons and those things were all part of the mind. And it was just an illusion.
So, but even though, just going back to the Bible, right? So, obviously they were talking about something. So even if it wasn't called a demon, depending on whatever it was called, whatever it was translated by these monks to mean, whoever wrote the books of the Bible. So you're looking at, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John,
12 apostles.
the apostles, they were referencing demons, in their writings. So,
Right. Because they wrote in Greek.
Or I don't know what they wrote in.
It would be
Hebrews.
Roman and Greek,
But,
which were the prevalent languages of the time.
but yeah. So anyway, they've been around a long time.
Yeah, they have. So what's funny is in 1597, King James the Fourth, or King James the First, depending on if you're talking about Scotland or England.
Yeah, he's in my family tree. I'm just gonna say it right here.
That's
You're
actually
welcome,
kind of cool.
peasants.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well, actually, thanks for the King James Bible.
Well, actually, it was so like his grandpa is the line where it goes to. So he's kind of like a little branch back down, but still, it makes his cousins kind of
Like cousins 65 times removed.
Oh, I don't know. It's like that's math. I don't know.
But he wrote a book called. It's basically a book called Demonology, essentially, and it was back in 1597, and it actually talks about magic and necromancy, which at that time, necromancy was a prediction of the future by communicating with the dead. It also had witchcraft and sorcery and the spirits and specters. And he believed that demons were actually under the control of God and that they were used as a rod, essentially, as a, hey, you've been bad. Whack. I'm going to hit you with the demon.
Like a punishment?
Yeah.
That's why the knight only needed a stick.
Yeah. Because he had the power of the big guy with him.
Carries a switch.
So, but that was, and so that's, 1597. So that's still like, different than what we believe today.
Right.
Oh, very.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
extremely different.
But if you think about it, like King James at that time would have been like the leader of the Catholic Church.
Protestant.
Well,
no,
sorry.
okay. He was a Stuart. So he was Catholic. They were Catholics.
Yeah. So, which is interesting, right? And Reginald Scott was actually Protestant. And so, which there was, the whole Protestant Reclamation and all that fun stuff through history. But, it's such a different belief than what we have.
But I think maybe at that time they couldn't handle. I don't know. My mind is going off in all these different directions as I'm listening to you talk and stuff.
Well, they also believe that if you were sick, they just put leeches on you and cure you. So
or
Hey,
bloodletting,
That's effective medicine. I don't know why we have to just force you to take a pill.
right, it's like I got sick, get the leeches.
Yeah, but no. There's a lot of things we know now that they did not know then. There's a lot of truths that were lost over the history of time that were lost. I mean, that's why they call it the Dark Ages.
Yeah,
it wasn't just because it was really dark and the sun didn't come out. It was also a darkness of
knowledge.
The I'm blanking on what I was saying.
No, it really was like
people didn't know how to write. They didn't know how to. It was just basically a darkness. It was, and then you look at what they call the Enlightenment, right?
We can get into the Renaissance.
Yeah, and all of a sudden people are learning to read. The Bible is produced. It's mass produced.
Yeah.
Universities come about, and inventions come about, and just look how far we've come.
So, what would you call like a demonic spirit now? What would you?
Fred?
Not a name.
Type 3, give it a name.
It's characteristics.
You little piece of Get out here.
What do you mean characteristics?
Like, okay, so before it was said that a demon was something that God would send down to use and
so how would
whip
you
back
describe it?
Yeah, so how would you describe
In
it
modern
now?
times?
Yeah.
Oh,
How would you describe it in modern times?
go for it.
Me? She
Yeah.
asked you.
I'm asking anyone.
She has the table.
Anyone. I think it would, in my opinion, it's an evil entity that is trying to persuade you to do things that are not in a righteous way or in a right way, or
Right.
things that make you happy. They're trying to make you miserable.
Also, go ahead.
No, go, Jamie. Go, Jamie.
Also, I think that they prey on the weak, those that are down and severely depressed. I think that they go in for the kill, so to speak.
That's where you get your inner demons.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get like your depression and you have a lot of like your inner demons.
Well, I wouldn't like, and that's not to say that depression comes from demons.
No, I'm not saying that
no.
it is.
No.
But
No,
you've
no.
got,
But
you've got ones that influence you, but then you also have like your own mind, like internal,
because it can make you
personal
go
demons.
into a bad, deep place.
It takes you further down.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're almost like masters of deceit and deception.
Master of lies.
Yeah.
Well, who do they follow, right? Who do they serve?
Satan.
Satan. Satan is known as the father of lies.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's all he exists to do, is to deceive.
Yeah.
And so that's what they are about. They are all about deceiving you and to lead you astray and to cause you to be miserable.
Yeah, and
And-
see, yeah, and
Yeah.
now we believe that they're not from Heavenly Father,
No, they're
that
not.
they're from Satan, and they're
Yeah.
under Satan's.
There's God and there's anti-God. There's not God. And they are all that is anything against God.
See,
Yeah.
I think King James came across that mentality because, like, the book that he wrote was really not biblical teaching; it was his own thought processes, right?
Right.
But there's the book of Job in the Old Testament, and that is a section where it talks about God and Satan having a conversation, and God allowing Satan to do things to Job. And so I'm wondering if that's not where he kind of like drew that line and said, "Oh, they know each other, and God obviously is in control of everything, so he's gonna, allow them to do their things because, he can stop them if he wants."
But he only did that to Job. I don't think he does that to everybody else. I mean, he did that to Job because Job was so righteous that he's like, I'd bet my money on Job. I don't think God would do that to the rest of us. I mean, he probably knows, at least me. He's like, whatever, don't tempt that guy. But he allows us to have the choice
Yeah.
to make those choices. And if I want to invite demons into my life, God's going to let me do it. He's not very happy about it, but
It's gonna happen.
he'll let us make that
Yeah.
and suffer the consequences.
See, I think of them at times of like the tempter, like the little thing in the, like, I don't know, not Bugs Bunny. Daffy Duck was a good one, right? He had the angel on one shoulder and the demon on the little devil on the other, right?
So did Donald Duck.
Oh, that's true. Donald Duck did
A lot
too.
of them did.
Bugs Bunny did too, didn't he?
I don't remember.
But I do think that at times they're the tempters, the ones that kind of like poke you to do things.
sure.
Oh yeah.
And there was a book written by C.S. Lewis called The Screw Tape Letters. If you haven't read it, it's a great book.
I've heard of it. Never read it.
It's actually a book written from the demon's point of view.
Oh,
So there's
sounds
this
nice.
Yeah, so there's this demon who's trying to tempt his consort, his human, and he's failing, right? Because his human is finding Christianity, and so it's talking about all the things that you can do to to mess him up and to make him trip up, and it's a very interesting thing. It's written as a book of letters, essentially. So I kind of think of it that way. Like there's someone they have to report to. Like, this is your job. You're the under demon.
Well, right.
Punch the clock.
Just like angels would answer to somebody in heaven, a higher, archangels or God or.
Mr. Kronk.
Yep, there's a picture of.
Oh yeah.
Carrie found a picture of.
for the new people that don't know who Daffy Duck is, because our daughter would not know who Daffy Duck
That's
is.
true. That's true.
Oh, that is so sad.
It is sad, but at the same time, it is what it is. you
Yeah.
know?
The Kronk from Emperor's New Groove had
Yes.
the devil and the angel.
That's a
on
good
his
That's
shoulder.
right. That is a good example.
That's more current.
Yeah, that is more current.
But no, I think you asked what do we think of they are today. So just like again, I think I'm probably reiterating something I already said. There are those spirits who left heaven, who were cast out, and they're here amongst us, and they're here just to cause havoc and
Make us miserable.
make
Yes.
us miserable. And the thing is that we're blessed with is that we have the power to resist them, right? We can they can affect us. That's just like someone is the bully at school. They can sit and make fun of you, but it only works if you let it in.
Well, and that's why I think the weakness part, right? Jamie touched on that. Like, they wait until you're weak
Hey, you're
already.
lowest.
When you're at your lowest
They're kind of like
point.
scavengers in that way,
That's a good way to put
They
it.
will.
That's a
Yeah.
really good way to put
Or
it.
you can just invite them in.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
but
seek them and you want them.
Yeah.
Hence the Ouija boards, which
You-
is
you look like
why
there's
we
some-
tell you.
You look
no.
like you have some apprehension
Yeah.
on that, Josh.
what's that?
What are you thinking? When I
No.
said you invite them in, you're like, well, yeah.
No, it's just like, why?
Why would
Why
you
would
do
you?
that?
Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
I know there are people out there
I
that
don't
do.
know.
Oh, there's
Well, no,
plenty of them.
There are, and
Yeah.
I think some of them are they're of that mindset of like, look, they're not real, and so I'm going to
prove or
prove
whatever.
that they're not real.
Yeah, well,
and then,
there's people that mindset, but there's also, okay, you used to have us in our religion that follow God, but then there's those that worship Satan, and
That's right.
that's what they want in their life. That's what they choose to follow, and that's who they worship. That's who
Yeah.
so they invite that into their life.
But you can also invite them in unknowingly. It's not like you're seeking out saying, I want to invite a demon to my house. But they live in a world of chaos. They thrive off of chaos. They thrive off of, God's house is a house of order. And that's scriptural. But, chaos is and war and anger and hate. All those are the things that Satan likes. And so those dark entities, they're drawn to that. So, and not to get preachy with things, but if you're doing things in your life that are not in accordance with God or with the light, then you're kind of opening those things up. So just coming from it, like I said, from an LDS standpoint, we're taught we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't watch pornography, we don't engage in unholy practices, or whatever. And by living in those kind of things, you kind of bring it in. If you're doing drugs, well, you're lowering your defenses. If you get sloshed, you're lowering your defenses, and those things, they kind of come in because like, oh, look, there's a little opening.
Right.
And
I mean, even
go
just
ahead.
yeah.
Well, and that's why we say, when you go on a public investigation, you don't show up inebriated with alcohol or on drugs for that very reason. You leave yourself very open.
Yep.
But when we used to go to people's houses, we'd go in and we'd show up and we'd, what's going on here? You called us here. Something's going on. A lot of times, more often than not, there are things in their lives that were amiss. And it's like, okay, well, you got to get this stuff in order or else it's going to keep coming back.
Yeah. Or I found a lot of the time too, it was a family member that came to stay with them for a while, like a son or a daughter that moved out, but now has moved back in because their lives have changed in a bad way. And maybe they lost their job. And so now they're drinking and getting into things that they shouldn't, and watching terrible movies, things like that, where it just draws in that evil spirit. And so when that happens, it's funny because the parents are like, I didn't know. How could this happen? I live such a good life, and whatever. And then you're like, well, have you seen your kids' bedroom walls? Like, look at all those posters that are like devilish looking, right? And what are they into? What are they looking at? And I mean, there's even been investigations where I've been on that they've had like a Satan's Bible or a Ouija board in their room, or and you're like, hello, these are like
and
trigger objects,
and they wonder why these things are there. It's like, well, really?
Well, and then one of the common things when we go to the house clearings, like they notice they're fighting a lot more. We're having arguments a lot more.
Yep.
And then after we clear the house, it's like, oh, we don't fight as much as we used to. We don't, and so
Right.
it you can feel the difference.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're trying to cause chaos, right? They're trying
Yeah.
to cause that separation in your mentality. So, and that goes into like possession, right? Like,
Yeah.
is that like possession's not like a walk in the house and I'm possessed.
No.
It's a process.
It's a process.
It goes through suppression and then eventually gets to the point of possession, but it can take a while.
It takes a while.
And it does depend on your mentality too.
But you'll find that, and this is where, demons are cowards, right? They will never take on all of us. What they thrive on is they work at it, and they pick at little things and pick at it, and they get you alone.
Yeah.
They separate you from your friends. They cause you to withdraw so that you're and they make you think you're crazy, and then no one wants to talk to you.
And that you're alone.
And that you're alone, and nobody is there for you. Nobody loves you. And then once they can get you away, it's kind of like take a bunch of what do they call it? A pride of lions. They don't just go attack a whole herd. They separate one from the herd. They separate a smaller, weaker one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Jump.
And then they go on it. And demons work the same way. And they're like I said, they're cowards. They won't take on all of us.
So the interesting thing is because demons, are around, right? I'm sure we've ran into them, right?
For sure.
So what are some of the cases that we've ran into them? What are some of the times that we've ran into them?
Well, I don't know. You want to talk about the Fort Douglas time?
Oh, we most definitely need to talk about that one.
Let's tell some stories.
Let's tell some stories. Okay, share time. So they were having, I don't remember what it was called, Para-Unity, but it was a version of a paranormal
It's
conference.
a paranormal conference.
Up at Fort Douglas, and they did that evening a ghost hunt.
Which started off in chaos to
It
begin
wa-
with.
My God.
It was
The whole
such a
thing,
mess.
the whole
It
thing was
such
a mess. It was awful.
It was
They
doomed.
oversold it.
It was doomed to begin with.
It was awful. But Josh and I kind of went in one little corner of this big room, and I don't remember what building it was. Do you?
It's the officers, like in
the officers' quarters.
the officers' club, right? That big main building that we
Yeah.
all started in.
Where we
So
started.
that was where the chip coffee reading was in that building
Yes.
the next
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and Terry was supposed to be our guide.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But Josh and I kind of, they said, hey, go investigate. So Josh and I kind of found a little corner in this big room, and we started talking with the rods, and we established that it was a type 3, and we were asking questions. And then Terry came over and she says, hey, what you got? And so we told her, and she pulled out her rods and she confirmed everything we got, which was cool. And a little later, we had this husband and wife come over, and this was their first time ever doing anything like this. They watched the shows, they were intrigued. They thought, hey, let's try it out. So they come over and they ask us some questions, and we're sitting, and, they're like, what do you got? And we go, well, we got a type 3. And they're like, well, what's that? And so we kind of, we start explaining it. And the husband, you could just see the color leave his face. And his mouth just kind of gaped open a little bit, and he turned around, he just walked off. So I think we kind of scared him just a little
He
bit.
didn't quite know what he was getting into.
He didn't think it was going to take that sort of a turn. So
We didn't either, though. I mean,
we didn't either. No.
It was actually a little shocking because they're like, "Are you male? No.
Female? No.
Ever had a human body?
No.
Oh, it was one of those.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you
it was
don't,
interesting. That was like the first thing we contacted with too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And you don't go looking for those things. Like, we never go looking for type 3s of any sort. But, you do, when you do what we do, you happen to run into them every now
Yeah.
and again.
Yeah, and that one ended having to be summoned to that location for whatever off the wall reason. But
Yeah.
it was there,
It was there.
and they didn't want to leave.
No.
So, what about you, Terry? What you got?
I don't got much.
She's never encountered a demon in her life.
Number one.
Sure you have.
My husband.
Oh, yeah.
In the morning, grumpy.
And it never leaves.
No, you got to remember, with me being like a natural shield, and I don't get a whole lot of bad stuff around me.
Right.
Oh, that's
happening
true.
very often.
That's true.
And anything that is bad that's happening, the minute I show up, it just like goes away.
Yeah, except for that one.
But that
It did. It actually went on the other side of the room.
It talked to us for a little bit, but
Yeah.
it didn't really do much other than just talk to me. I think I've talked to him like on the dowsing rods and stuff, but like anything scary involving anything like that just kind of just doesn't happen when I'm around.
Lucky.
Because even with like my husband, like when he's with me, like we had one of our mediums say one time, like, why does all the crazy stuff happen when you're not here? And then when you leave, all the crazy stuff happens. Just because me just being a natural shield, a lot of that stuff just kind of disperses.
So if you want stuff to happen, kick Terry out of the room.
When you want to go away, invite her back
And
in.
the thing is like there was one time we were at Benson Grist Mill. Thought we were talking to the one kid, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I could just feel the weight of the dowsing rods change, and then I'm like, "You're not Kevin." And then we realized it was that demonic guy in the basement down in there that
Yeah.
can't remember his name. And I was like, "All right, well, I'm just not going to talk to you then." And I just put the dowsing rods down because I don't muddle with that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, other than that, I really don't have a whole lot.
No, I get it. we don't make a habit of talking to them.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
see,
no.
and even when I was on the other team, I didn't go on a whole lot of house clearings that had those type of things. I didn't do a whole lot of that stuff. That's why Mike has more.
I did. I got lots
experiences
of
with
those.
it.
Yeah.
At least why don't you go next?
So I would say the main one that like jumps out at me is, I was on the other team and with Mike and Terry, and we went on to a house call, and they'd been having things go on at their house for quite some time, and they'd been there multiple times in the past, and it just wasn't going away. And so we decided to get the big guns out basically and do like a massive cleaning of the house. And you could feel the difference when you walked in from upstairs versus downstairs, because as soon as you walked down the stairs and you got to the basement, I mean, this is a very nice house. Like it was kept clean. Like a lot of times, like when you run into this stuff, the house is a mess, right? It smells bad. Like
It's like a hoarder situation.
yeah. And this time, house was nice and clean, and it just wasn't something that you would expect. But you walk downstairs and it was like you ran into a thick wall of heavy cloud. Like it was just so heavy and thick in there. And so you could just feel the difference when you walked in. And like they didn't even look at me, or they didn't even say anything to me. They just looked at me and saw that it was almost like I ran into a wall, and I was like, holy cow.
Who's they?
Everybody.
Gary.
Oh, the people on the team.
The people they were investigating with.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, when we were down there, we decided, to figure out what this is, talked with it, had a little bit of an EVP session. And one of the investigators was like, it's an elemental, because it had been messing with the temperature of the water tank, and all the fish died because it made the water too hot. And like it was just doing like all these crazy weird things. Now for me, in my personal opinion, I don't really believe in elementals. I really don't believe in that kind of thing. I think they're all the same. They're demons. They're, type 3s. They're all type 3s. Maybe they just some have different abilities than others. But anyway, so once he went like that and he's like, elemental, then I got this EVP on my recorder that was like, you suck. Like just like that. It was a dark male, or a deep male voice. Mm-hmm. And of course we didn't hear it then, right? So we start playing choir music, like church choir music, really loud.
I hate that.
And started ringing bells. And it was just like, it was almost like chaos just entered the room. Instead of it being like a calmer, heavy, feeling, it was all of a sudden like heavy and chaos at the same time.
You made it mad.
Yeah. And so like it was going crazy, like bouncing off the walls kind of feeling. And so we went into a room and decided to, we got it into just one room, cranked up the music, did everything that we needed to get it out of there. And then it was like all of a sudden, everything just stopped. Everything was still and very calm and peaceful. And it was like the weight that you felt, the thickness that you felt in that room dissipated. So we're like, okay, dude, keep playing that music. Keep it going on all the time. Like, oh, it was crazy just how heavy that felt. And normally with like a type 2 or a type 1, you're not going to feel that very heavy, thick feeling. You're going to feel like, oh, he's kind of yucky. Like he doesn't feel like super great, right? And that's when you're like, okay, that's like a type 2. And then when you're just kind of like, oh, it just feels different in here, type 1 kind of feeling. But like it doesn't give you the heebie-jeebies. This is like, oh crap, should I be here? I feel terrible. That's when it's like, all right.
Super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that one was actually a particularly good one. I mean, I didn't go on any of those. That was just slightly before I joined the team. Mm-hmm. But I know enough of the stories and the case. Yeah. That one was probably, our friend Castle.
Yeah.
Who was the leader of the team and was heavily involved in all of that. He has said that that's pretty much the biggest one he's ever gone up against.
There's that one and the one in Tooele.
Right.
Yeah.
Which never got solved.
They never solved that one. They left it because it was too bad. It was too much for them out there.
That one was a possession.
Yeah, that one was a possession.
But this one, they call him Larry.
Yep.
They know him Larry. And
yep.
Larry's, amongst the ones that we've come across, is among the more powerful. But yet, I was listening to the old podcast where he's talking about that earlier today, actually. And he says, but on the whole scheme of things, being like 1 to 10, that he's probably only about a 3.5.
Right.
Which actually kind of freaks you out.
Which
It
is
scares me out.
What's a 10?
What's a 10?
Right.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what a 5 is.
Well, the thing is like, it's like, okay, dude, what were you doing to make this?
Because you guys went back to that house several
A
times
lot.
trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think when it comes to stuff like this, it's like, okay, what are you doing behind the scenes that's welcoming this thing in? Because how many times we got to get rid of this, you know? And I think at that point, that's when you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, really, what am I doing? What kind of a lifestyle am I living? What am I trying to hide? And just get it out and be done with it, because that's the type of stuff that's going to keep it recurring. Because, I mean, we can only do so much, right? So it's like, hey, come take care of our house. We need this gone. But we still have this Ouija board and we still like to play with it every once in a while or whatever. But it's like, no, you've got to get rid of that.
Because we've had clients trying to call us to come back. It's like, will you get rid of your Ouija board? No. Then we're not coming back.
There's no point.
There's
coming
no
back.
point in
Yeah.
us coming to try to put a Band-Aid on it if you're not willing to get rid
Because
of
that's
that Ouija
all
board.
it's going to do. That's all it's ever going to do is just put a little
You just
Band-Aid
put a little
on
Band-Aid on it for a couple months, and then you're right back to where you were at.
it. Yep.
So I've actually run into a few more of these just because, and I think some of these, you guys have probably been around as well. I just don't remember them all. But some of the more poignant ones, if you are an investigator, if you've ever been to an investigation, if you're from in the Utah area, there's a place called, was called, it's not anymore.
Doesn't exist
It was
anymore.
Leslie's
Yeah.
Family Tree Restaurant in Santa
So
Cruz,
sad.
right? One of my favorite places to investigate. I probably investigate there more than anywhere, honestly. But we used to host a lot of public investigations there. And so you've probably heard us talk about Lucy, or if you know me, you've heard me talk about
Yeah.
Lucy, the demon in the basement.
Yes.
She's famous. I mean, Ghost Adventures have been there. They've talked to Lucy. Zach's called her out.
See, and it was there in the basement there where I felt that thickness one time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just feel that heaviness, and it's hard to breathe, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's soupy.
That's Lucy.
yeah.
So one of the things that about Lucy is she kind of guards a portal there, but she likes to portray herself as, we call her. I mean, but Lucy portrays herself as like a young girl, maybe 11 or 12, but she can't replicate eyes. And so that's something that's about demons that we haven't really touched on is
Yeah.
because they've never had a body, they can't replicate a perfect form. So if you ever
They're always,
see
like,
a
missing
demon
something.
manifest something, they're always missing something. Like, so for Lucy, it's like a little girl, but that like the section where her eyes would be is just black. It's just dark.
No
There's
eyes.
just no eyes.
They'll
no,
be missing a finger.
not even. It's not like empty eye sockets. It's just that there's just
Nothing there.
nothing. They might be missing a finger. They're missing an arm. They're missing a leg, and it doesn't mean that couldn't be a spirit who didn't have their leg. And
But it's a good sign that
but it's a good place to start. Yeah, they're never going to have a perfect form. Anyway, so Lucy is probably the most fun to play with if you're going to play with a demon. I don't know if she's still even there anymore, but
Who knows?
But she's portraying herself as a young girl
to try to trick you to think she's harmless,
and that she's innocent.
and they'll usually do that.
yeah, they usually start as a child to
we
try
were-
to lure you in.
We were watching
It was Portals to Hell.
Portals to Hell the other night, and they went to this museum. I think it was in Iowa, but there was a little clown doll, and they got an EVP, and it sounds like a little 3-year-old kid.
3-year-old boy.
Says, "I'm stuck in this box.
I'm stuck in this box. And it was the
You
demon that was attached to the clown.
See, that's why I really struggle with young spirits. I really struggle believing
It's-
that there actually are just young spirits hanging around. For me, it's that's a hard one to swallow
I have mixed reviews on that.
because I just always feel like they're trying to interpret someone
Yeah.
young. So I
But
don't.
yeah, a lot of the times those type 3s will start off as a child
Yeah.
to try to lure you in.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's how Annabelle got started.
Yep.
but so Lucy, just some stories with Lucy. Oh, there's a cat licking my toe. It's like something. Talk about demons.
Well, she is a little evil sometimes.
Your demon cats. Some of the fun things I've had, I do have some EVPs that I believe have or are Lucy. There was one experience where we were down there, and Lucy had attacked one of the people. I was leading a group. Lucy had attacked this girl, and I think this is the one. I think Josh and Jamie. I think you guys were in the group on this one because we were just talking about the girl that
We were upstairs.
and we all went upstairs. She got attacked, and then everybody went upstairs and left. But I left my recorder down there, and you can hear people talk upstairs, like if someone's talking, right? You can hear the chairs moving, and you can hear like the low mumble of
Like the
just
muffle.
Yeah, it's very muffled, but you can hear that there are people because nobody's whispering upstairs.
Yeah.
But then over next to my recorder, you hear a little conversation. You can't hear what they're saying, but they're whispering like right next to the recorder. I mean, there's a good bang, which is like right there, obviously not upstairs, and then there's a little bit of a conversation that's going on. Yeah, and it's like you wouldn't hear that anywhere unless it was right there in that area. And so I think that was probably Lucy talking to somebody.
Yeah,
That she was-
which is super common when you get EVPs. Is you'll have the whisper. A lot of the time it's a whisper. It's rare to get a really good voice that is speaking clear like we do. Most of the time they're whispers.
Well, it takes effort for them to make the sound. I mean, they don't have a voice box that vibrates and makes a tone, like we do. And so I think any noise you can get out of them, period, is impressive.
Right.
But I do have that. Also, I do have a picture on my laptop here that it was taken by some friends from the old team we were in, and I just have it. And it's actually a picture of Lucy. And for a long time, they debated on, well, is this somebody that was on an investigation? Because it looked like somebody in a gray hoodie. And then one day I had it on my laptop and I just zoomed in on it. And I'm like, no, wait, you guys come here. And they looked at it. And the medium, from the other team, she was like, duh, I've been trying to tell you guys. But you can see, you get in close and you can see the red eyes. And it's not like the back of a gray hoodie. It's a little gray shadow figure-y thing with red eyes. And you can see a clear mouth and jaw and an ear, and it just looks like it reminds me of Gollum, kind of from Lord of the Rings or from The Hobbit, right?
Cute.
So that's Lucy. Lucy's still, I don't know. I'm assuming Lucy's still there.
I'm sure she's still there if she's guarding that portal. The building
But-
still exists. The restaurant just closed down.
It's supposed to be a new restaurant that has not opened yet.
No.
So,
Well,
Yeah, I'm
we'll
curious to
definitely go
see
eat
how
there.
that is going to pan out.
right.
Yeah. But I did have another, just a story. This is one where we came across where it was supposedly a water elemental. But Elisa kind of mentioned on this that, there's elementals out there and people think that they are different
Creatures.
kinds of a creature, that they're not a demon or... and there's a lot of people that don't like the term demon. They just like inhuman. To me, it's all the same, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, like Elisa does, I think that these elementals, they're just demonic entities, inhuman spirits who left, cast out of heaven, that have a certain affinity to manipulate some sort of elements. There's earth elementals, but this one would be a water elemental. And this residential investigation we went on, they were having a lot of problems with water pool, like in the carpet on the main floor. They would get just a big wet spot. And
Like they weren't peeing on the floor.
They weren't peeing on the floor. They did have like a little Chihuahua type dog, but the dog wasn't peeing on the floor. Like there was like rooms where the dog doesn't go, and they would get these wet spots. The weirdest thing was they would have like their laundry folded. Okay. And so you have like a stack of Levi's, 5 or 6 pair of Levi's that were all just kind of stacked, and they were up on top of the dresser. Okay. They've been cleaned, laundry folded, and they were up on the top of the dresser, and water soaked in from the bottom up into the bottom 4 pairs. And it smelled, it was very wet, and it smelled like fabric softener. It was directly above where the laundry room was downstairs. But the dresser was dry, but the pants were wet.
Oh, that's
And
weird.
they hadn't folded them wet. They were, they'd been dry. They'd come out of the dryer, folded anyway. But that was one of the things. And then he would they would get these random wet spots that would just appear. And then he'd get down, they'd smell it. And it smelled like fabric softener. It didn't smell like urine. The dog was like crazy horrified.
There's no way a
No.
Chihuahua is going to get on top of your dresser.
Doggers don't get up there. But the dog, they said like the dog used to be this really mellow little dog. And just since these things started happening, that dog was it wasn't right. He was on edge all the time. He never slept. Just a stressed out little guy. So we investigate it, and we do find out that there is actually a spirit down there in the basement, in the laundry room. that was targeting the man of the house. Had a real strong liking for the man. And so, I mean, there were other spirits in the house that kind of led us to say, the one you want, it's over in that room. And we went in there and we did, we had a medium there and she did help us we kind of pushed it out. It took a lot of work, but we did finally get it cleared out. And then following up with them the next day, they said it was like the dog slept on the couch, just slept solid through the whole night.
Well, and that's the thing you'll notice too, is that it really affects animals a lot. And there was this investigation that I went on, and the dog was going crazy. I mean, it was a black lab, and it was barking all the time. And they were like, "Sorry, do you want me to take this out?" And I was actually like, "No, let's keep it in," because that is a great indication on one, where it is, on two, whether it's still here or not. So we kept the dog there and did our thing, did our investigation, got some EVPs, sounded female, and then realized it was the type 3, the demon, if you will, and got it cast out. And when we did that, that dog was happy, wagging its tail, wasn't barking anymore. Like before, it would just sit there and like growl, and then bark and growl and wouldn't follow us up the stairs, things like that. And then all of a sudden it felt like it was like free, and then it started going everywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting
That's
how much of a barometer for the paranormal the dogs are.
Right.
Or cats.
Right.
But some of the other types of inhuman spirits or type 3s or demons, whatever you want to call, like I said, there's people who are afraid to use the word demon. To me, it's all the same, and I don't care. It's like demon. I don't care. I don't know what you guys all
the
feel.
last thing you want to do is walk into somebody's house and tell them,
Okay.
you have a demon.
So, yeah, you don't do that. We do have a friend that did that on a residential. She told this little old Catholic lady, and they
got
cross on
demons.
the walls, and she'll go down the basement and say, "Well, you got demons," and they thought the lady was going to die.
Yeah, that's
my
not what a
goodness.
homeowner
No,
wants to hear.
No. You don't. But there are people who will refuse to call anything a demon. It's like, I'd call it what it is.
Yeah.
No.
But there are a couple other guys. So you do have your elementals that people talk about. There's air elementals, earth,
Air,
water,
fire.
the fire, and they'll portray themselves into certain different things and can cause different kinds of havoc. Like with the waters, a lot of plumbing issues usually, not just a plumbing problem, but like recurring. We fixed this. Why will it not? But then there's also the incubus and succubus. I wanted to kind of touch on those. An incubus is, basically a succubus is like a female type of thing where it would basically steal the seed of a man. So we're talking like Ghostbusters. And there's that one scene where the spirit Dan Aykroyd undoes his pants and then makes him go cross-eyed with joy. And then there an incubus is the male version of that, where it would insert and basically have its way with somebody and violate somebody. And that's the thing, that demons, they want to violate you. They want you to feel violated. And so there's those spirits. You can go a lot more into those. Back in the old days, they used to unwanted pregnancies. They could just say that it was a succubus or that.
It was a demon.
I just heard one. Did you hear that? What was that, Jamie? Who was that?
Oh,
That's Gizmo.
That's Gizmo.
And what was he doing?
singing the song of his people.
Of
course.
I love that. But so I do have a couple of questions that my daughter actually asked me,
You missed my story.
Oh, wait. Sorry, Josh.
Rewind.
Go back. Josh, tell us a story.
I'll tell you a story.
He's getting ready.
And this doesn't have anything to do with investigating, because this happened to me well before.
Ooh.
I am 100% certain that my ex's house had a demon in it. So
I thought she was the demon.
no.
Sorry, but
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are familiar with like Son of Sam, who got instructions to kill from his dog.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
BTK.
Yep.
Heard voices.
He was crazy.
Yeah, I will. This will make you think maybe he's not that crazy. So every time I was at their house, right, I knew that her father had a gun. I knew where the gun lived. But every time I was there was a little voice that would come into my head and say, "Grab it, kill him first, and then kill everybody else." Every time, for years.
But only when you went over there, right?
Only at that house.
Only at that house. Yeah.
Never happened anywhere else. None other time. But it's like, you can do it. You can do it real quick.
Oh man.
That's scary. That is very scary. But
Oh, yeah.
I think, and she had mental issues. And
yeah. I mean,
there were other people living in the house that had a lot of these.
Right. And I just think that it was a condition of,
Yeah.
and that's like the part of, demonic, mentality, suppression,
Yes.
is that try to isolate.
Yep.
But they try to get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, right? That's,
Yeah.
It's
That you
not
normally
exactly
wouldn't
who
even
I
think
am
about.
as a
Yeah.
person, right?
Yeah. So I was actually, goes along with this is I was watching, how like on TV, how there'll be like the Christian channel, and it'll be like a religion, the priest will come up and start preaching about, in the scriptures or whatever. Well, I happened to watch this one. It's not something that I generally watch, right? But I happened to watch this one where this guy was being interviewed. He was this priest, and he was like, "I got to tell you this story." And he was like, I had done all my schooling. I was just a brand new pastor. And he was like, I was 27 years old, and I had like this billboard sign or whatever, and for his new congregation. And this lady calls him and was like, "Hey, are you Pastor so-and-so?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I need you to come over and pray for me." And he's like, "What?" She's like, "Well, don't you have it on your billboard? Call me and help. You're going to pray for me." He was like, "Well, yeah, but what's going on?" And she's like, "I'm pretty sure I have a demon in me." And he was like, how do you know that you have a demon in you? And she's like, "Because I have these thoughts." She's like, "I have thoughts that scare me. I feel like she's like, I swear all the time now. I talk nasty. I'm angry all the time. And I'm pretty sure I could get away with murder and not feel bad about it." And he's like, "Holy cow, I'll be right over there," right? So he goes over and he's like, "So how did this all happen?" And she lives in this big old mansion. It's nice and beautiful, right? And he goes in and he's like, "How did this happen?" And she was in their entryway, this big entryway, and there's a table there. And she's like, "Well, my husband's gone like 5 days a week." And so I started picking up reading the tarot cards. And she's like, "I was doing tarot cards, and all of a sudden my front door came open. I heard footsteps," and she's watching, but there's nothing. She's not seeing anything. She's like, "I heard footsteps come from outside, come inside my house, and it went right into me." And he's like, "Wow, okay." He's like, "All right, well, let's, I'm going to read the scripture." He's like, "I have no idea." He's like, "I had no idea what to do. This is not any of my teaching." And so he's like, "I'm going to read some scriptures and we'll just see what happens." Right. So he pulls out his scriptures. He starts reading. And I don't know what story he was reading, but all of a sudden she got contorted. She's sitting in this chair and she gets contorted, and she starts, like, her knees, if you can picture, they're sitting on a chair or a couch or whatever. Her knees go up to her chest. Her head kind of drops between her legs a little bit, so her head is like poking out, like where her thighs are. And she goes, "I hate you," in like this male voice. And the guy is like, "All right, God, I have no idea how to deal with this. I know you're stronger than me." And, and so he was like, "I need you to get rid of this. And in the name of God, I need you to get rid of this." Right. So he says all this, he does this prayer, and she like literally just fell to the floor, just drops to the floor. And he's like, she laid there for like 2 minutes, and she woke up and she's like, "What am I doing on the floor?" And he was like, well, pretty sure you're free of your demon. Like, don't play with those tarot cards. But
Oh my goodness.
like, it was just it. And we have seen, where people can be possessed, if you will. Like, you lose the sense of what you do and what you're doing. And it's a really scary situation because you lose that control. And when you give up that control, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So that's why we're really adamant about keeping your wits about you when you're, ghost hunting, or when you're wanting to get into stuff like this. Keep your wits about you. Don't naturally, or not naturally, but don't try to invite these type of entities around you.
And don't do it alone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, don't be alone.
no. I see people do it all the time alone, and it's like, don't go off alone. I'm a firm believer in the buddy system, even at the most mellow and safest of our
Yes.
investigations. And then also never ever challenge them. You've heard me tell the story before about one of our friends that we were down there at Family Tree, and they saw this pair of glowing red eyes down the hallway, and they said, it looks like it's challenging you, to the the leader of this team. I'm not going to use his name today, but and he goes, oh yeah, well, challenge accepted. And then he starts getting really agitated and really upset and wants to hit people and wants to do things. And they came running across the restaurant and grabbed me. We went to him outside and we gave him a blessing. And it took a blessing and a bunch of selenite and it's a little bit of time for him to kick it and mellow out. And he's like, what the heck was that? I'm like, don't ever challenge them, man.
No, you can get like angry. Everything changes. You can actually, they have like sometimes you can smell like a sulfur smell.
Smelled that before.
That was me, excuse me.
You're releasing your demons.
There's little signs that
Yeah.
because you've got the smell, there's the anger, there's
The thickness in the air. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to watch your thoughts, and if it's not a natural thought that you normally have, when you're doing things like this, you got to take yourself out of the situation. Be smart.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even type 2s can give those to you. Even, just malevolent spirits that aren't demonic can still give you those impressions and stuff. As far but like as far as the sulfur smells, that's usually the heavier.
Right.
But do you want to talk about the stages of a possession? No.
Nah.
Okay.
But we kind of touched a little bit on like tarot cards and Ouija boards, but there's one character that is actually like associated with the Ouija board, whether it's
kind of a more modern day demon that's come about because
Right.
of the Ouija board.
And what is that one there, Jamie?
That would be the Zozo demon. But Terry and I were talking about this earlier, and Terry actually brought up an interesting fact that I want her to kind of share.
You want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Go now.
Well, because it's come about because of the Ouija board, and people have talked about it more often, that it's kind of more of a man-made demon that we brought to life.
Like a tulpa?
We gave it, yeah.
Topa.
We gave it life because it became popular with the Ouija board. It wasn't really a whole common until more around 2009 when it was featured on a Ghost Adventure episode.
Season 10, episode 3.
You might know this, Jamie.
And so it was just kind of a thought that this might be kind of a man-made demon, and it was brought to life because social media, whatnot, talking about it, gave it life.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting concept of it because, yeah, we don't think about how we can manifest things just because we give so much thought and energy into something.
Well, if you think about it, they go off of fear, right? They love to create fear. And so if you have already started to create a type of fear from something that looks like, I would say the Slender Man.
Yeah, so Slender Man is another
Slender
one.
Man is
Yep.
one,
Yeah.
right? And so somebody created that, and
Now it's
if I were an evil entity, I'd be like, sweet, that's
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yep.
totally do that.
I'm going to take it. Because you have the Charlie game that wasn't and then all of a sudden now there's this demon Charlie everywhere.
Yeah.
And like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
There's
Just
also
kidding. That was Gozer.
there was another one. Was it
has come.
the JoJo?
Momo.
It was the Momo. That was another one that was just really recent that all of a sudden everybody was like, it was the Momo challenge. And
Yeah.
of it.
Oh my.
So I think it's a lot easier to happen nowadays because of social media and how fast word can travel.
Right.
That something's just going to take that and grab it, and then all of a sudden it's
And go with it. And it's
It is
there.
what it is.
It
Yeah.
is what it
They're
is.
always like toddler names though, like Juju, Zozo, Poo Poo.
It's easier for me.
Easier to say.
Easier to say.
They never have like a cool name, like
Well-
the old ones like Beelzebub, you know,
They might, but like
Balthazar.
if their names are Aramaic,
They were
like,
cool.
If their names are Aramaic, are you gonna be able to pronounce that? I'm not gonna be able to.
I don't know, but you just look at some of those old ones. Azrael, you know, it's like
well, and also I think we give them the
Poo-poo.
names, right? Like I think a lot of times like how when we go to a place that we're investigating, a lot of the times we'll say, hey, can we call you this?
Right.
Steve.
And then we'll go with it and then just call it that from then on. So I'm pretty sure a lot of this is
That's
just
exactly how we got Lucy's name down there.
yeah.
So, but what else have you got on Zozo?
Basically, it's just known as one of the more prominent demons today. Commonly reported as being responsible for like paranormal, obviously hauntings and poltergeist-like activities.
And it mostly comes through Ouija board use.
Yes, absolutely. So they say no one knows what Zozo looks like or what type of being it is, but I mean, come on, what type of being is it?
Right.
Demon, okay? I mean, we do know.
Yeah.
I don't believe demons are real.
But, you know, for those who believe that they have come into contact with him, they report the same terrifying experiences. So there's like that common ground. Seems to be mostly commonly contacted through Ouija board, like Terry said, and powerful enough to inflict significant mental as well as physical harm.
Yeah, and
So-
and is another thing is we've noticed when you have an evil entity, when you get scratched, how many scratches do you get?
Three.
Three.
3. You don't get
Yep.
4.
Right.
Typically.
Yeah,
Typically
typically.
3.
It's typical. Yeah.
And why
typically
is that 3?
The Trinity.
Mocking of the Holy Trinity.
Just like the 3 knocks.
Or maybe they only have 3 fingers.
And they're missing.
Well, it's kind of like that video we got. Whatever that thing was had 3 fingers.
Yeah.
3 long, gross fingers. But Zozo's also known by other names such as Zaza. Again.
That's Zsa. And she slaps police officers.
Or Zo. Or Pazuzu, which I don't think that that's one of them.
Yeah, that's weird. I saw that.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
And they were
Japanese
also
car
saying
company.
that usually when you make contact with Zozo, the planchette will go in figure 8s, and then it'll go back and forth from Z-O, Z-O, Z-O. And that's usually how you know you've made contact with Zozo.
And don't try doing this, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
No.
do it.
Don't be
Don't do
stupid
it.
enough.
Yeah. They say that Zozo's been around for hundreds of years. But like Terry says, I find it interesting that, you know, it became so popular, especially after Ghost Adventures.
Well, I'm sure that spirit, that entity has been around for a long time,
Oh
right?
yeah,
But-
I'm sure. You know.
Yeah.
They just weren't employed as the Ouija board.
Right.
demon
Till that came
until
out.
that came out. And then like, oh.
So they've also reported that you can have contact with the Zozo demon through like hypnosis, EVP, and even automatic writing sessions. So I haven't
Well-
really heard a whole lot on that, but
I imagine though, because you're talking about intention, right? So like, if my intention is to contact the entity, right? You can get it on EVP or
You can get it any way you want it. If,
Exactly.
your intention
If
is
you're
to try
looking
to make
for it,
that
you're gonna
contact,
find it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it could also be anybody else, any other,
And
you
again,
know,
yeah, with their
malicious.
deceit,
They're like, oh,
they could be
yeah, sure,
anybody.
I'm Zozo.
Sure, I'll be Zozo today for you.
Hey, that's what's going to make you scared.
we
Let's
got
just call me Zozo.
I got you.
They all have his little name tag that says Zozo.
So there's one kind of famous encounter with the Zozo. So there was a man from Oklahoma, and his name is Darren Evans. So he and his girlfriend were using a Ouija board, and they apparently contacted Zozo. And the demon reportedly divulged like information, and then Evans to Evans from the other side. And as a result of this, you know, obviously Evans became more and more obsessed. He wanted to know more. And so he kept on with the Ouija board and just became more and more obsessed over time.
He started claiming he was a Zozoologist.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Jeez.
That's when you're
Wow.
spending way too
Right,
much time
right,
talking
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the demon.
right.
Too much time on your hands.
So, but, you know, as Evans kept on with this, with the Zozo demon, things got more sinister. obviously, as he kept going. He claimed that demons were following him at all times. Like,
of course.
Well,
you
why
know,
wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't
right? They were tailing him, watching him. Zozo even threatened his young daughter, saying he was going to steal her soul. And his daughter did end up getting sick and almost dying. And that's when Evans finally kind of realized, I need to do something about this. He had a nervous breakdown. He realized, okay, I got to get this thing away from me and my family. So he contacted and, pursued an exorcism in an attempt to get Zozo away from him and his family. So he says it was a very terrifying experience that left a definite impression. I mean, why wouldn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Because if he's been so focused on it for so long as part of his life, wanting to know
Exactly.
everything he can about it, and now you're going to take it and remove it from your life.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, I'm sure it
Exactly.
became like some obsession and
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
100%.
For sure. Yeah. So what Evans does is he runs a site that's actually dedicated to warning others about the dangers of messing with the Zozo demon and Ouija boards. So
I just want to expand to all demons. Just don't mess with them.
don't mess with
'Cause,
any
I
of
mean,
them.
One of the things that was interesting about that's a fact about demons, right? They will tell you. So you said he was telling them things,
Yeah.
and it was a
From the
great
other
source.
side.
Well, yeah, and that's demons will tell you 99 truths just to sell you on that one lie.
100%.
And that's
tell
what
you
they
half
do.
truths
And so they'll
Yeah.
tell you things like, "Wow, that is so cool," and it is cool. But then you're like, "Tell me something more," and they'll tell you all sorts of things, and then you'll believe everything that they say, and then they'll sell you on the lie.
Yeah.
The lie that nobody loves you, the lie that you should commit suicide, the lie that you should
That you
'cause that's what
don't
they're
matter.
about.
You should
Yeah.
That's
murder
what they're
everybody in the
about.
house.
They want to
that
take.
you should take that gun.
They
and
want
that
to
you
take that
should-
person down, and then everybody else they can with them,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
and then they get a bonus when they take somebody down. They get extra cupcakes and hell,
Devil's food cupcakes.
Extra Krispy Kremes.
burnt cupcakes.
So what do you got for questions, Mr. Mike?
So the questions that my daughter asked, I told her I would bring up, and maybe you guys listening have these same kinds of questions. If you don't, and if you do have other questions that we haven't answered, if you have anything that you want to ask us, reach out. We would love to answer your questions,
Absolutely.
whether it's individually or if you want us to talk about it on the show, we might be able to do that. But if you have questions, by all means, ask. Don't be afraid to ask, because that's how we learned. We've learned by asking and by experiencing. So, question she had, so how do demons look when they're not showing themselves? So when they're presenting themselves to us, we talk about how, like Lucy, for example, portrays herself as a little girl, or they'll portray themselves in some unassuming, it doesn't look like they're the big scary, hi, I'm a demon. They're usually a little bit more
They try to look
innocent.
almost as normal as they can.
Yeah, they don't look menacing. So she goes, how do they look when they're not doing that?
This is really a lot of the if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around, does it make a noise?
Hey, teenagers have some of the
Yes.
most amazing thoughts.
They
can.
do.
It does make a noise
Yeah.
just because no one's there to hear it. Does the sun come up in Japan if I'm not there to see it?
Well, right, but I mean, it's kind of this type of question, right?
It does. So my answer, she goes, wouldn't they look just like us? If they were spirits like us that just got kicked out of heaven. And so my answer to her, and it's a theory. I mean, I don't know. I don't know it. I don't know any answers for sure.
Because if you ever saw one, it'd be allowing it to present itself to you, and you would see what it wants to see. So
It's going to present itself how it
But-
wants to you.
exactly,
Yep.
and so
Yep.
like obviously we wouldn't know unless
No, but my theory would
We're
be
dead.
that they would look fairly similar to us. However, I would think, just basing off this picture that like I said, we have of Lucy, that they would probably look a little bit more dark and loathsome, to use a scriptural term. They wouldn't have, let's look at Gollum, right? Let's go Lord of the Rings. And I know we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but
But it's a good analogy.
it is. So if you look at Gollum, in Lord of the Rings, he was once Smeagol. He was of the river people, and then he found this ring, and it started to whisper to him. And he was a normal looking dude, and then he lost the ring and went down in the caves looking for it, and was so obsessed with it, and so obsessed with the envy and the anger that it turned him, and he's no longer looked like, the normal river person that he was. He looked like the little dark creature that he is. It became Gollum. And they kind of do that comparison if you read the books or watch the movies, because I'll be honest, I've never read the books. I never learned how to read.
Those books are hard to read.
Those are hard to read, man.
They make me fall asleep.
Yeah. I'm still not sure which one's Saruman or Sauron or I still struggle. Anyway, so then she goes, how come they get powers if they're evil? Because we believe that powers are given to us as gifts from like God, right? So my answer to that one are that Satan is a great imitator. Satan can give powers. They're not the same. They're not as good as what God can give, but he'll give powers and try to tell you that they are very mighty. I mean, there's stories about that between the priests of Baal versus, was it Moses?
I don't
know. I'm blanking on my scriptural history here. But yeah, so Satan's a great imitator. And so those powers that they have are imitations. But it's just like the power of creation. They don't have the power of creation. So that's where the succubus and the incubus come in. They kind of mock that power of creation, of procreation. There's the being able to portray itself as something, but they can't quite create a perfect human form because it's lesser powers. So how would they possess us if we don't invite them in? Are there ways that they can still possess us? Because we've told her, they don't come in. It doesn't happen unless you invite them in. And typically that is the case, although there are those who are more sensitive and who are more susceptible to being attacked and to them coming into their lives.
Yeah. So like example, me and Terry.
Yeah.
Right. You've got one extreme versus the other extreme. You put us in a room, not together, separately, right? But you put me into a room by myself and with a demon, and it's going to be scary as crud for me, right? But then you put Terry in that room by herself, she's going to be sitting there falling asleep.
I think this is one of the reasons why we work so well together when we investigate.
Yeah.
Because my natural shield allows you to be more open and more comfortable with stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is true. I'm very jealous of the things that happen with you guys. It's like we go somewhere and it's like we break off. It's like Josh and I, like when we were up in Idaho, Josh and I are up there in like the big living room, and you guys are like down. I don't even know where you guys went.
No, it was me and Jamie downstairs.
Okay,
she was upstairs with.
But nonetheless, we got nothing. And everyone else has all these cool things, and we're just like, man.
That's because we hung out in the hallway, and they're all hiding in the rooms.
Yeah.
We just didn't want to go in the rooms and sit on the beds that we make them clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are lots of beds in that. There's lots of beds in that building, and if you mess them up, then they have to clean them, and
They have to strip them and change them out. So.
and we like the lady there, and we didn't want to make her clean more rooms than they had to.
Oh no, yeah.
So,
But typically, if you're not sensitive, and some people don't know that they're sensitive, then you do have to invite them, and you can invite them. It's not always like doing a Ouija board thing.
Even if you're not
Saying,
inviting
"Come
them
into me."
in, but you get stuck in a situation that you didn't know you were going to be in. Okay, like your friend invites you over to a party at their house, not knowing what their house is like. You walk into this house, and this house is not a house of order. And all of a sudden, you're stuck in a situation, and all of a sudden, you're like, "Why am I here? What am I doing here?" And you get attacked. You had no preparation for that whatsoever.
Right.
So it's not like you were inviting them in, but you just ended up in a situation that you weren't prepared for.
So at that point, you're like, okay, I got to be smart about this. This doesn't feel good because it's not
I gotta
ever
get out
going
of here.
to feel good.
Yep, I gotta get out of here. Yep.
And we've told her, if you ever go somewhere and you're at a party or wherever, and they break out a Ouija board, call me. I will come and get you
She
right away.
has a secret code to text me.
Yep. She does. She has a code that she can text us, and it's a no questions asked. Call us. You send us. Yeah. You tell us, and we'll come, regardless of what's happened, where you are. You're not where you said you were going to be. Fine. Doesn't matter. We will come get you, and make us look like the bad guy. My dad's being a jerk and making me come home. I don't care. And then she also asked, if you let one enter, does that mean that all can enter? And typically, yeah, you mess with one, you mess with the whole burrito. And, you invite one in, and it's just invite them all.
It's an open door.
I mean, you go back to the New Testament, and they say, there was casting out devils, and like, who are you? And it's like, we are legion.
We are many.
There's many, many as can cram in there.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, they're very selfish, right? So they're like, well, screw you. I'm going to try to take part in this. I'm going to take part in this, and I'm going to take part in this. Right?
So anyway, so those are just the questions that she had. If you have other questions, we would love to answer them if we haven't touched on them. There's so much we could talk about when it comes to inhuman spirits, demons, demonic entities, whatever you want to call them. But I would just tell everybody, just don't seek them out. Be careful.
Yeah, and that goes into the last bit of this too, when we start talking about demonology. Looking into that, there's lots of online courses you can find that are like, hey, become a certified demonologist, take this course type of deal.
Is that like becoming a pastor on the Universal Life Church? I do have one of those certificates.
Yeah, I think so.
Universal Life Church.
The thing is like demonology being the study of demons, like the point of doing it is to essentially know your enemy, right? Because if you know who your enemy is, then you can get rid of them and take care of them, right? The thing is like, it's also a gigantic target. Like those who become demonologists and exorcists, they are actually, part of the Catholic Church. That's the only order of the exorcists that actually exist, that are official. And from like people that we've known, there's one person we've known that's been actually a member of that group. And he's not one to actually sit there and talk about it, because it's not a pleasant world. But in the same token, like, it's not one of those things you can like dip your toe in and like, I'm going to dabble a little bit and then I'm good. It's like you're opening up a box you do not want to play with. So, what I did find funny though, there's a University of at the University of North Texas, they have an English class. And it's called the American Demonology. So you can take a class on demonology.
It's a good elective.
Yeah, right? There's also another course. There's another school there that actually has a major in demonology. But it is actually a seminary college. So, like, they mean to dabble with that stuff. Whoa. So,
did we just give EVP?
No, it's Gizmo again.
Gizmo again.
He's fighting demons.
And the other thing too is like, watch for people that call themselves demonologists. Like, there's a lot of people that will go on a ghost hunt and like, I'm a demonologist now.
Yeah, it's just like everybody that goes on a ghost hunt and says, I'm a medium.
I'm a medium.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, folks.
No, it is not. And so, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, just be careful with this stuff. This stuff it's not to be taken lightly by any means.
Anything in the paranormal is nothing to be taken lightly.
Nope.
No. This is just that dark, deep end of the pool, though, that you kind of stay out of.
We stay out of it. I mean, we don't even go there. I mean, we happen upon it, but seldom, do we muck with it.
Yeah, if we come upon it, we'll do our best to take care of it, but it's not something we're searching for, or it's not something that we're hoping to find either.
We don't seek it out.
No, and nor are they on every single investigation you ever go on.
Nope.
In fact, they're a lot less common than you might think. But then again, there are people who say, well, there's only so many demons, right? And so it couldn't be a demon. There's only demon, and they all have names and stuff. I've heard that too, and I'm like, no.
Well, that's the thing, is like looking at the studying that I did, there is two texts that give numbers, right? One of them is the Book of Jude, who says there's tens of thousands or 10,000 demons. Now there's the second book of Enoch, that the Book of Jude is that passage from the book is actually almost word for word from the Book of Enoch. And that phrase is tens of millions.
So I would go with more of the tens of millions. If you look at it, and this is just me. If you go to the Book of Revelations, they talk about how a third of the host of heaven, right, was cast out.
And look how many people have lived on this earth.
Yeah, who has ever lived or will still coming.
And 1/3 of that.
1/3 of that.
Yeah, so
it's a lot.
Let's figure. We got I think the world's population right now is 5 billion.
No, that's just China.
I thought it was 8.
It's a lot.
I don't
between
know.
7
It's a
and 8.
lot. It's
So
a lot.
let's just go with 3, just to be like on the short side of things, right? That would be 1 billion. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
7.9 billion people.
Yeah. So Jamie was right. 8 billion.
And those
Yep.
people and us, we come here, we have a
Go,
lifespan,
Jamie.
and then
Yeah.
we die, and so then we're not here. But these spirits, they've been here the whole time,
Yeah.
And they're patient.
and they're patient.
Oh, they are patient.
So
they
if
will
you-
wait and wait.
And if you invite them, it doesn't mean they're going to come right then. It might mean that they're going to come when you're most vulnerable.
It's an
So-
open
Yeah.
invitation.
Yep.
So you're on a ghost
Open-ended.
hunt, and you say, "Push me down, scratch me.
Come play with me.
Yeah, come on, come show me how angry you are. Come on, show me how tough you are."
It may wait until you get home and you're all by yourself. And it could be months later.
It could
Oh,
be
yeah.
years.
It'll wait
Yeah.
It'll
It
wait for
will wait.
4 years
They
until
will
you just
wait
got
and
fired and your wife left you and you're at your lowest point of lows, and they're like, "Oh, hey, remember me?
Remember me?
Remember
Guess
you
what? I'm
invited
gonna
me to come and scratch you?
It's time for us to play.
Yeah.
Let's do some big scratching."
Yep.
So be careful what you say. Be careful what you do. Don't entice it.
Just don't challenge it.
Don't challenge.
Don't investigate alone.
No.
I don't know.
And that's the other thing too, is like if you watch the ghost shows, they're like, "Oh, send Aaron in there by himself," or
Oh,
send this
Aaron-
person.
God.
Aaron always gets picked on to go by
Well,
himself.
he does.
Poor
But
guy.
he's not alone.
He has
No,
a cameraman.
He's a cameraman. He's never alone. He's got somebody with him.
These guys, they're never alone because guess what? There's someone there with a camera.
Yeah.
There's probably a producer. There's part of the production crew. These people are never alone. So don't think that just don't do what they do.
And even if they are like alone and they have like their own handheld camera or whatever, there's people watching them right down the hall that they can be to them that quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like where they're off across, you know, like at Benson, they're over in the big mill and there's nobody around. The closest person is over at the school, you know, and you have no idea what's going on there. There's somebody watching them, knowing what's happening.
There's
Yeah.
people around all over the place.
So don't ever investigate alone.
No. And that's like with the tarot card piece, right? I'm sure the guy that Mr. Evans with the Ouija board, I bet you he was doing that a lot alone. Like these are, you know, it's an open invitation, and it's like you're just not being smart
Yep.
because there's no one there to say, "Don't do that, you idiot."
And then that's where I would also encourage folks, if you want to do paranormal investigating, go find an experienced group, a vetted group, somebody that's been around, that's been doing it a long time, that can show you how to do it and to do it safely.
I mean, this isn't something that we all just decided to wake up one day to go do.
Oh no. It took a lot of tutelage to learn, and we're still learning.
It's a never-ending process, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I love about it.
That's why it's
You never
fascinating.
stop learning.
No.
So, anything else we want to talk about as far as
No, I think we.
inhuman type 3 demonic,
Nope.
whatever you want to call
I
them?
think we covered it.
Yeah.
All right, and we haven't even scratched the surface. That's the amazing part.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I mean, there's tons of.
There's so much more
ton-
we could go into on about it, but there's no need to.
No.
All right. Well, good enough then. So come back next week, 2 weeks. We'll have another episode for you. In the meantime, you can find us on the social media platforms. We're on the interweb. We can find us on Instagram. We're at where, Terry?
We are at coldspot_paranormal _research. Come find us.
And on Facebook, where, Jamie?
Well, you can find us on a couple places. You can find us on Cold Spot Paranormal Research on Facebook or Paranormal Peeps Podcast.
And if you're one of the older people like us and
MySpace.
happen to be on MySpace or Twitter, you can find us at CPR Paranormal.
We should really create a... Wait, is MySpace still there?
No, not really. It's there. Like you can find some stuff.
We
on
should
there,
create
but
one just to be funny.
That would be interesting, wouldn't
We're
it?
on AOL.com.
Use dial-up.
Use
All right.
Netscape.
Oh yeah, even Explorer is going away. Anyway, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate all of our followers. How many followers are we at on Instagram, Terry?
We're like 297. We're almost to 300.
Ooh,
Come on,
close.
300.
Getting
Tell your
close.
friends. I know we're all over the world. I know we have there's one listener in Scotland. Shout out to you, young lady.
We actually just got some new followers from Canada.
Oh,
Right on.
Hey, look at that.
welcome, eh?
We are international.
Internationally. They're going to stop listening now. Don't make fun of us. All right, you guys. Well, until next week.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead and say, have a wonderful week. Do good stuff. And
Stay ghosty, my peeps.
Thanks again for listening to Scary Time by Indie Drop-In Network. Check out all of Indie Drop-In shows at indiedropin.com. If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com.